Welcome to this explainer. Today we're demystifying the science of HIV. We're going to start with a stark look back at history, just so we can really fully grasp the sheer, almost miraculous medical reality of where we're standing today.
Okay, let's dive right into this staggering number, 1.5 million. Now, this represents the estimated cumulative global AIDS cases that were projected by the World Health Organization all the way back by early 1991. It's a sobering figure, right? But it really sets the stage for everything we're going to unpack for you today. And just look at this. This original 1991 WHO report cover literally transports us back to a time of, well, just immense uncertainty. It was an escalating threat and a rapidly expanding global pandemic. When this was actually printed, the medical community was scrambling, and I mean scrambling, to understand a virus that seemed, at the time, entirely unstoppable.
So, to understand how we got from that frightening 1991 prognosis to today's modern treatments and our future goals, here's the roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the 1991 pandemic reality, inside HIV disease progression, the antiretroviral arsenal, overcoming drug resistance, and finally, the 2031 global strategy.
Section 1. The 1991 pandemic reality. Let's go ahead and ground ourselves in the terrifying scale of this historical problem.
Diving into this 1991 WHO snapshot, it reveals that between 8 to 10 million adult HIV infections were already estimated worldwide at that exact time. Plus, about 1 million children had been born infected. I mean, this really emphasizes exactly why this was such an unprecedented global health crisis. The virus had quietly established this massive global foothold way before treatments were fully realized.
Moving right along, Section 2, Inside HIV Disease Progression. Let's zoom inside the human body to see exactly how this virus operates when it's left completely untreated.
This timeline here breaks down the biological progression without any treatment. It kicks off with the acute infection phase, right within the first 2 to 4 weeks. The virus is multiplying rapidly, and about 2/3 of people experience flu-like symptoms. Now, during this stage, the transmission risk is incredibly high. From there, it transitions into this silent chronic infection phase, or clinical latency. This part can actually last 10 to 15 years. You might feel totally fine, but the virus is still in there, multiplying at low levels. Tragically, without intervention, this culminates in the late stage, AIDS, where the immune system is severely weakened, basically opening the door for severe opportunistic infections.
But notice the stark contrast here. While untreated HIV leads to AIDS, modern medicine can completely suppress the virus to an undetectable level. And this is huge. Maintaining an undetectable viral load means a person can live a long, completely healthy life. And most incredibly, they have zero risk of transmitting the virus through sex. This is known in the medical community as U equals U. Undetectable equals untransmittable. It's an absolute game changer.
Section 3. The antiretroviral arsenal. So how exactly do we force that virus into an undetectable status? Let's take a look.
Our first weapons are NRTIs. And honestly, the way these work is just pure chemical deception. They act like fake building blocks. So during the reverse transcription process, which is when the virus is trying to build a DNA chain to copy itself, an NRTI slips in. But because it's a modified compound, it's missing a critical chemical group that's needed to add the next link. The virus is completely tricked, the DNA chain is terminated, and replication stops dead in its tracks.
Notice the difference between our approaches here. While NRTIs pretend to be DNA building blocks, which, by the way, actually require the cell to add phosphate groups for them to work, on the other side, we have NRTIs, non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors. These guys, they don't play pretend. Instead, these small hydrophobic molecules bind directly to a pocket near the reverse transcriptase enzyme's active site. It's literally like throwing a wrench into the gears. It physically deforms the enzyme and halts its function completely.
Next up in the arsenal, we've got protease inhibitors. If those previous drugs stop the virus from copying its blueprints, while these drugs stop the factory assembly line, they brilliantly act as scissor blockers. See, the HIV virus uses an enzyme called protease to cut up long proteins into functional pieces so it can make new, mature viruses. Protease inhibitors mimic these natural proteins, so the enzyme grabs onto the drug, gets permanently stuck, and boom, it cannot assemble functional new viruses. Then we reach a massive milestone in therapy. These are called integrase inhibitors, like the drug raltegravir, which was actually first approved back in 2007. These drugs target a really insidious step in the virus's life cycle, integration.
HIV basically uses an enzyme to literally splice its own DNA right into your healthy cell's DNA, essentially hiding inside you. Integrase inhibitors block this enzyme, preventing the viral DNA from ever meshing with the healthy human host DNA in the first place.
And finally, why even let the virus into the cell at all, right? Here we have our entry inhibitors. On one hand, fusion inhibitors block the physical merging process. They mimic a region of the virus called HR2, which prevents the viral envelope from fusing with the cell membrane. On the other hand, CCR5 antagonists, like the drug Maravirac, act like a jammed lock on the cell's external doorway. They bind to the CCR5 receptor on the outside of your cell, completely locking the virus out. No entry. Section 4. Overcoming drug resistance. Because as amazing as all these drugs are, the virus is a dynamic puzzle. And that leads us right into an evolutionary arms race.
So when facing these fake DNA blocks, HIV actually fights back through two incredible steps. First is the discrimination pathway. The virus's enzyme mutates to recognize the fake drug block and actually rejects it in favor of a natural one. Crazy, right? Second, if the fake block does somehow get inserted, the virus uses the excision pathway. The mutated enzyme actually uses cellular energy, ATP, to physically cut out and remove the drug from the DNA chain. It's a microscopic battle.
Summarizing the viral escape mechanisms here, you can see the virus continuously mutates specific parts of its structure to bypass almost every single drug class. It changes the binding pocket to shake off NNRTIs. It alters its active site to ignore protease inhibitors. And for those CCR5 door jammers, the virus mutates its V3 loop to simply use an entirely alternative receptor door to break into the cell. This intense evolutionary adaptability is exactly why modern treatment requires combination therapies, attacking the virus from multiple angles all at once so it just cannot easily mutate its way to survival.
Section 5. The 2031 Global Strategy. Now that we understand the intricate molecular battle, let's zoom back out to the macro view.
Take a look at this. The latest UNAIDS Global AIDS Strategy for 2026 to 2031 makes a really powerful admission. The world is closer than ever to ending AIDS as a public health threat, yet that progress is a dire risk. This frankly confirms that while our science and treatments are nothing short of miraculous, our global victory against this pandemic is definitely not guaranteed just yet. You see, the pharmacological science is largely solved, but our final hurdles? They're actually societal and economic. The landscape is threatened by converging global crises, deepening human inequalities, shifts in health funding, and mounting fiscal pressures across nations. The challenge is no longer just happening in the laboratory. It's playing out in global logistics, funding, and basic equity.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. We have spent decades building the ultimate medical arsenal against HIV, deciphering its every microscopic move and neutralizing it. But do we have the global unity, the funding, and the political will to overcome these societal hurdles and finally finish the job by 2031? The science is ready, the rest is entirely up to us. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the world around you.